The MVP award is arguably the most prestigious individual award a player can receive. With that being the case, you'd think that there would be clear-cut criteria for receiving the MVP, however, there aren't. In most years, the equation is as follows: best player on best team equals MVP. You have Curry's MVP awards, Giannis MVP awards, as well as Harden's MVP award to reference that equation. But then, you also have seasons where the argument for MVP is that if you took that player off their team, it would be a G League team. I will elaborate on that argument later in the video. But first, let's look at the former argument: best player on best team equals MVP. In order to do that though, we need to look at this oversimplified. Imagine you had two mechanics, each being tasked to repair a broken door. For the sake of this video, let's name the first mechanic Bob and the second mechanic Andy. Alright, so Bob has about 300 tools in his bag to repair the door, but for some reason he still can't get the job done. Andy, on the other hand, only has 3 tools, yet still manages to repair the door. Now, in all honesty, which one of the mechanics is better at their job? I suppose it's the one that actually got the job done. Bob might have 100 times as many tools as Andy, but if they won't help him get the job done, then in that situation they're no use. In the regular season, the goal is to win as many games as possible, because at the core of it, you play to win. That means that the players on each team try their best to lead their team to victory. Since every team has the goal of winning as many games as possible, the team with the most wins, or the best record, is technically speaking the best in the league, because every team is trying their hardest. There isn't any team that is purposely slacking off. So the player on that team that was the most integral to their success is therefore their best player. That means he's also the MVP, because without him, that team wouldn't be the best team in the league. The issue with this theory is that good teams, nowadays at least, usually have more than one very good player, so you can't attribute the team's success to one specific player. We saw that in 2017 with the Golden State Warriors. In 2017, they had the best record and were the best team, but since they had the reigning 2-time MVP in Curry, and the MVP before that in Kevin Durant, both on the same team, who were you supposed to give the award to? Another issue I have with the theory is that teams with good records are usually well-constructed teams as is, so their best player doesn't hold as much weight as the best player of a middle-of-the-pack team. A perfect example for that would be this year's Utah Jazz and Golden State Warriors. The Jazz have the best record in the league, yet Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, or Mike Conley aren't as valuable to their team as Steph Curry is right now. That's not a slight towards the Jazz, but more so praise for the well-built team. And I know the Warriors aren't a middle-of-the-pack team, but you get the gist of it. And this brings us straight to the second argument of take that player off the team and it would be a G League team. The embodiment of that argument is, in my opinion at least, LeBron James and the 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers. Without LeBron, that team would definitely have been a lottery team, but with him, they managed to get the 4th seed and then reach the NBA Finals. Should he have won the MVP award that season? Not really, because the guy that won it, James Harden, led his team to a 65-win season in the Western Conference that included the Golden State Warriors. My biggest gripe with the argument is that a good player on a bad team is more valuable to his team than a good player on a good team. If the Philadelphia 76ers somehow lost Joel Embiid, they'd no doubt be worse. However, with Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris and Steph Curry still on the roster, they'd probably still be a playoff team, likely somewhere around the 7 to 8 seed. If the Warriors on the other hand lost Steph Curry, they'd be the worst team in the league. They were the worst team in the league last season without him. Now, does this mean that Curry deserves the MVP over Embiid? No. it's just meant to showcase how much value a player on a bad team can have compared to on a good team. Another example is CP3 and the OKC Thunder last season. Coming into the 2020 season, the Thunder were projected to miss the playoffs by a decent amount, yet they ended up being the 5th seed, tied for 4th seed with the Houston Rockets. Should CP3 have won the MVP? No, not really. Was he insanely valuable to his team though? Definitely. Now, one thing I've completely left out of this video is narratives regarding the MVP. It's something I don't really want to get into in this video because it will make the video way too long. If you want to hear me talk about it though, then just subscribe to the channel because eventually I will do a video on the problem with narratives and the MVP award. And another thing I left out today was stats regarding the MVP candidates. That's also because I didn't want to make the video too long, but also because I plan on making a separate video for that, titled something like "Why Stats Don't Matter as Much as You Think" or something like that. And now, isn't it true that MVP technically stands for Most Valuable Player? Yes, it is. So how come they're not the same when it comes to the NBA? Well, like I tried explaining in the video, if you are a good player on a bad team, you have much more value to the franchise than if you were on a good team. So technically speaking, if we were to give the most valuable player the MVP award, then we would almost always have to give it to the best player on a 7th seed or on an 8th seed, because without that team they wouldn't even make the playoffs or something like that. But then on the other hand, you could also argue that, if you were to take away the best player on the 8th seed, or let's say we were to take away Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors right now, they would, realistically speaking, be the worst team in the league, or the 2nd worst team in the league. And with them, they'd be best, the 8th seed. And since the goal is to win as many games as possible and then ultimately win the championship, Steph Curry doesn't get them over the hump of winning the NBA championship. However, Joel Embiid and the 76ers might win the championship. So if you were to take him away, then all of a sudden their championship aspirations are gone. There's no way the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win the NBA championship without Joel Embiid. So if that's your argument, then yes, I can agree and I can see why the MVP goes to the best player on the best team. Because 1, you won the most games, and 2, without you, your team would probably not win the championship. But it feels to me as if no one has ever brought up the argument. But to come back home, what is it that I'm actually trying to say with this video? What I want to say is that the MVP award doesn't always go to the most valuable player. And for such an important award, it's very subjective, and I think we as NBA fans should start questioning the legitimacy of the award. The premise of winning will always be at the forefront of the NBA and most awards, and it's something we should take into consideration. But like everything, we should put things into context and try to build our own opinions. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. Also, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And thanks for watching. This was MCG. Peace out.